But isn't it also surprising to see a coup d'etat president and as a military officer in the case of Burkina Faso, so ultimately attended a fashion like this?
What is wrong with that?
Well, I mean, who are you cool? He's not an elected president.
Why are you cool? Okay, stand there. You want to go to school?
Yes, I mean, why not?
He's a head of state.
Yes.
Head of state, former, informal. Either coup or elected. He represents a certain country called Burkina Faso.
Yes, sure.
As a head of state.
Yes. Yes.
So, why was he invited? Or no, Pediasi Declaration 1, Declaration 2, Declaration 3. His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the Ghana and the ECOWAS. Declarations of Pediasi 1 and 2 and are turning the table of Burkina Faso. Say Omunka African Union, ECOWAS Hubium.
I see.
Oma suspended right?
Yes.
The Declaration 1 not suspended Dumboya.
Yes.
Of Guinea.
Yes.
And the Declaration 2 suspended Assimi Goïta of Mali. And the 3 suspended Damiba.
Okay.
Paul Henry Santiago Damiba, Burkina Faso.
Yes.
On the name Captain Traoré.
Yeah.
But then Captain Traoré ni Damibano, you can't call it that a coup d'etat. It was a change of regime.
Okay.
A palace coup.
Okay.
The boss no. And on the coup. And the coup only two Kabori. Only two Kabori no.
And on the two.
Only two Kabori no. The junta's mission was that ye caught near mercenaries. Ye caught near you for Akokun, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and Sawad and Sadin. And all the rebels and the terrorist group are all pretty Burkina. But Omnia power new year took Kabori ma Kabori Johnny Yeno. And Paul Henry Santiago Damiba. The ideals and philosophy ideologies are the kuno. Now undi so. So he was turning back to the French.
Oh, I see.
To behave the same way like Kabori was doing. So the boy also had a formation. Ibiasida, SMC1, SMC2, which is Kutu a champion, and then FWK a Kufu.
Yeah.
Do you understand me?
Yes.
It was something like that. Now, okay, say I didn't know coup d'etat. Your friend is in, or a coup d'etat leader, and I said, or a military regime. Let me put it on records, and I've heard one of the reasons Godwin Firma Mekasa about and the normal circumstances.
Yeah, sure.
Once throughout the electioneering year, I don't grant interviews. I try to stay neutral in some cases, but I think too much pollution in the air, so we must set it straight.
The record
I must set a lot of record straight in this particular studio.
Yes.
Weapon.
Yeah.
Ahanam can the same seat. That is why I decided to come here and set this record straight, and that is how it is.
Okay.
The United Nations of the congregation of 178 countries is the International Democratic Forum, congregation of all democratic governments and the governments of the world, with Secretary General of the UN, Awatiho. How many of the African leaders in the 80s, in the 90s, we had as many as almost 24 African leaders who were all wearing military uniforms into the UN General Assembly chamber.
Wow.
Jerry Rawlings, back to back, 19-year rule, or UN General Assembly with uniform 11 years. Sani Abacha, or UN General Assembly with military uniform. Obasanjo, or UN General Assembly, all throughout his government, until said Buhari ni Idiagbon too, they were also going to the UN General Assembly. Majority is there.
Yeah, sure.
Now, Nigeria, Abacha, Olusegun Obasanjo, Buhari, Omunyina no mko UN General Assembly. What about Habre? What about Lassana Conte? What about Lamizana? Majority is there.
Yes.
Chad, Niger, Burkina Faso had a military leader who was Blaise Compaoré. Or UN General Assembly for how many times? At that time, Sierra Leone, Valentine Strassa, 25 years with Saad Musa, 23 years. They were going to UN General Assembly with military uniform.
Oh.
John Jerry Rawlings went with military uniform.
Yeah.
Sierra Leone had a military leader. Guinea had a military leader. Guinea-Bissau, they had military leader. Omar Bashir, Central African Republic, Bongi, All this at that time, Obiako UN General Assembly, plus what about the Latin Americans? What about the Caribbeans? Cuba, Fidel Castro, almost or UN General Assembly without with any suit or with military uniform. The observer to the UN General Assembly, yes, Arafat, or the uniform, and called uniform the visited Clinton White House.
Oh,
back to back military uniform.
I see.
There is no way all those professors and then lecturers, security experts in Omkase were a democratic president and didn't know ma Kwame the military no country we in our governance system. How many military leaders have ruled this country longer than democratic?
Yes, absolutely.
Yet Ghana every time is one of the countries in Africa that spoke on the UN podium with a military uniform. So it is not a crime, it is not bad that the gentleman came here with his uniform. Ogel of Gabon,
yes, Gabon,
he decided to wear. Ogel did not come because he was from Central Africa. Ogel came because he's a friend, coach me, of President Mahama.
Oh.
So at the instance of the president, he came.
I see.
Don't forget, I have coordinated with Osei J of Ministry of Foreign Affairs,
yes,
former foreign minister,
yes,
when His Excellency Nana Dankwa was sworn in 7th January. The same way, I stood in as the liaison officer coordinating for the Republic of Ghana.
Oh, okay.
And then Osei J stood in for Ghana. We received him, the president. There are a lot of things we don't have time. So now let's come back to why Traore's issue had become an issue.
Yes.
Ebise Okra Gan.
Yes, on the two
questions. What are we talking about here? We're talking about people are reading regular security intelligence. About cyber security near here. We are talking about diplomatic security. Diplomacy has its own intelligence. Diplomacy has its own security. And I'm putting on record, diplomacy is not about anybody's social illustrations.
Okay.
It's not about anybody's intelligence. It's not about anybody's assumption. It's not about anybody's presumptions. And it's not about anybody's feelings. Diplomacy is a principle. Diplomacy is a standard. Diplomacy deals with objectivity.
Okay.
Diplomacy deals with subjectivity.
Oh, it deals with objectivity and subjectivity.
So you must be subjective, a topical subject. You must be an objective. That this is it. Okay. This object.
I see.
Yes. And it goes not with anybody's feelings. So what we saw, and it said, 6 January 2025, 11:59 p.m., Ghana elsewhere in new parliament.
Yeah.
His Excellency Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the regime comes to an end soon as the parliament of his republic, of his government is dissolved.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes, sure.
So 11:59 p.m., who mounts into the podium? The Ghana presidency goes back to the Chief Justice. Because parliament is dissolved.
No speaker.
No speaker.
Yes.
So within an hour, President of the Republic of Ghana, interim, at that time, Chief Justice. Chief Justice moved to be a president of Ghana until 1 hour or 1.5 hours. In between that time, no, office clerk, the clerk of the parliament, induction, roll call, and mentioning of the incoming members of parliament, swearing in those who are going to swear in on the 9th. Chief Justice, you know, never swear parliamentarians in. The speaker.
Yeah, sure.
So between that time, no, Ghana president, Chief Justice.
Okay.
Or swear in Speaker of Parliament. Around 12:1 thereabout. I stand to be corrected on the time. Around 1:30. Ghana president goes back to Aban Gbagben.
Yes. Yes.
So Aban Gbagben at that time becomes the Ghana president. From that time until 12:30 p.m. or 11:30 p.m. or 11 p.m. Sorry, a.m. Kopim say your best way new president.
Okay.
So this is the catch. Burkina Faso, the guy, 36-year-old boy, he's super intelligent. Who are the people sitting there? Tinubu was there.
Yeah, Tinubu was there, yeah.
ECOWAS has declared him not a member. They later wanted to warm themselves to him diplomatically. Wama Antiase, Oma Formu Sahel, into Adane Hoso. If the guy had come to Ghana around 11:52 p.m. on the seat, Nana Addo can cage him in. I'm not saying that he was going to do that, but his security, they can withdraw and expose him to his enemies.
Oh, I see.
So he's not stupid.
I see.
He was not a friend of Ghana. He's a neighbor of Ghana.
Yeah.
But because ECOWAS declaration to reject him and move his country out of ECOWAS was originated from Accra. So he sees Ghana.
I don't meet his own man who had a Muslim.
Peduasi 1, 2, 3.
Oh, I see.
And the guy is not stupid.
Interesting.
And to make it sure, sir, the presidency was not in the hands of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. I'm not saying, sir, Nana Beyeni Bibi, but we're talking about a trust, faith, and salvation.
Interesting.
Interesting. So I'm inside. What time did he come? Go and check.
Yeah, I remember because as at 7th in the morning, Namibisa omo protocols they said say Afena Burkina Faso president Eba.
So let me take you and the public through. In the time na Obamuno, Gabon leader and Obabe died.
Yeah.
He didn't have any problem.
Yeah, sure.
But when no time na Obamuno, one, there's what is called diplomatic protocol of a visiting head of state or visiting president. I want a security person or my bone or one person.
Yeah, security person.
So from someone when I'm interview or my bone person said, so who invite president head of state? No bababia, your friend be diplomatic protocols.
Okay.
Security protocols. Entry protocols.
Okay.
Anything. And he said, the who host you no. And no obano. Or the checklist at the baba.
Okay.
The diplomatic checklist of the visit, and he said, may the head of state, head of the delegation, head of state, in this case, Captain Traore, may the 19 soldiers armed, weapon carrying, a trainer de banner, the AK-47 4, you had the Brent 5, you had the Kafrenikov 8, pistols, assault rifles, etc. 9.
I see.
And Nipa 13 and the Beshe military uniform, Ekura guns.
In the bag or exposed?
Exposed.
Oh, I see.
Send the protocols or the abanono.
Yes.
Then the team, the government or the president-elect that is hosting him, also saw your validation.
Okay.
Now, no, national security. And for that matter, military, you deal with the Air Force. You deal with near flight ban or deba. Or some of the commercial jet, but in the case of the Burkina guy, cleverly, or the military jet nearby. So the military jet nearby, on team packet our commercial side.
Okay.
And so the flight in BC Air Force.
Oh.
Now Air Force was kind of flight, No, I shall say, whilst he's out of the aircraft, Obeja 10 or 15 military men manning or guiding the aircraft.
Oh.
No, my drop one more flight, Pilots, and then the co-pilot, and then the air hostess, Omusia, cabin crew for Nisia, straight away to hotel. Omokwaji Mahomet. Then the military take over with the Ghana military. No more did that flight. And Burkina Faso or Baneshai Krano. Need trade and in chain. Or short flights no copy send the president. Now, or your military leader and in the protocols, Ghana Army or Air Force have to make sure his security. President Mahama, His Excellency, has been a president. When the protocols or the Baba breast he has shared with them. And he knows.
Yeah.
So the transition team might not know, but the president knows. Now, or say, I'll go through principal streets of Accra Airport, direct route. You don't just get up and say,
Sure.
So your advanced protocol, motorcade, obedi car scanning up to the Independence Square. And make sure, say, Trotrobian says you cancel. Burkina Faso leader is spending 12 minutes from the Air Force. Opiano, ebi awan call VVIP lounge.
I don't know your Ghana security.
Ghana security ne ono na
Ghana security. Okay.
Ono be chira.
Oh, okay.
Into our kwa onko baby straight away Oba Independence Square.
Oh.
Now that is how he's going to enter. Oba and as he did. Oba V-shape security. Oh na ohwe betu an hu de wo chire. V-shape security ohwe ya.
Oh, me fa badwa baso.
Our soldiers bear 5, 6, 7 or half.
Yes.
Or bear 6, 7 or half.
Yes.
Odia with weapon.
Yes.
What I said. Then he blocked the V at the back. No, I be infantry, so he's the arrow man. And he had decided not to drop the car. Maybe a president,
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
That's true.
Did he do
That's
that?
true.
Yes. It's part of his protocol.
Yes.
Into Oba walk 100 meters or 150 meters, so they can have clarity.
Interesting.
Why? Because our enemies.
Yeah.
Echo was enemy. Tinubu your enemy. Why? Because Tinubu French, pro-French.
Interesting.
His Excellency Nanado, pro-French, but only they know any picture anymore. It does not mean say we are afraid. Say obi betima abeche no. Say the enya security officials ni bi aka say expert for be say adentina okuratu adentina oyeden. One, and the public should notice. It could have been say on a Republic of Ghana government, not Ghana government, President Mahama. I agree. And they have scanned them say train no toy guns. But there is what is called presidential signature, and there's what is called presidential brand. What makes Traore, his brand of dress, his coat of dress, his signature of dress. Wama President Mahama say any security couple no manage president say or the person babo no ho. Me no me ni anko person could be a toy person.
You need to mean
and I'm say person no cry bibia ni ammunition.
Sure.
But to send a signal that this is the way I go to places. President Pacho Minian better measure hand gloves. Minian measure hand gloves. Meba, this is the way I'm entering into the podium. Other presidency in Atlanta came on besi anymore.
Yes, of the other side.
Over the other side. The security protocol.
Yes.
And why in V-shaped entry. It is done by KGB.
I see.
To monitor and to guide Putin. No.
Interesting.
It is done by Israeli Mossad.
Wow.
Israel Prime Minister acquired Israel for a V-shape plus. Not Prime Minister initiative. Where covered or now don't buy. These are special forces are snipers.
Okay.
They didn't come and joke. Aunt now Emma Burkina, a country from almost day one of independence 1960. Oma you coup d'etat, go and check Burkina democratic elected presidents.
Sure.
Oma you could become you coup 2 days. Obia a prime a head of state 2 days, a bear 10 days, a bear 17 days. And to him say now before so another been the coup. And when him say Damiba at Togo Heya. And they could harm him whilst he's coming or whilst he's leaving, not on the podium of the descent. And President had agreed with him, say, yes, Oba, bra.
Okay.
Protocols on President Mama Nina Dilia.
Oh, okay.
And in Pacho, the public listening.
Wow.
President Mama is not ordered by any law. Say on country be say no any Burkina Faso leader neighbor. He's aware already what the boy is coming. Obacha say will true right. Obabo Bako left and Abako Baboni now. This is how I'm going to enter. Now people did not read meaning into how the boy went into the podium.